Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the Hampshire 50th Anniversary Alumni Dinner. My name is Dana Cunningham, and I'm a proud parent of a Hampshire alum graduating class of 16 and a Hampshire College trustee. I want to share with you my Hampshire story. As a Black mother, I searched in vain throughout my son's school years for a learning environment that would actually see him and nurture his brilliance. By high school, the bright light in his eyes was gone. They had lost their sense of wonder. He announced actually that he would not go to college, and that came as quite a shock to my husband and I, both teachers at MIT. I dragged him to Hampshire. At Hampshire, everyone he met had a meaningful passion project. Everywhere he went, he could see the evidence of Hampshire students' minds and hands hard at work. He was sold. And Hampshire did not disappoint. Bored with film theory, he found a teacher who just shoved a camera into his hands and said, "Go make work." Asked by a friend to do a Div 3 project, together they created a 3D platform that became a startup with Hampshire Seed Fund money and has now made it to round 2 review for an NIH grant. You all know that at Hampshire, to know is not enough means putting actionable knowledge into students' hands so they can help change the world. And Hampshire has never been as important as it is now. Its focus on consequential problems, on searching inquiry across disciplines, on citizenship and empathy are exactly what the world needs now. That's why I love Hampshire College. It's why I'm thrilled to be a trustee, to help support and shepherd this next phase of the college's development, which promises to be as disruptive, path-breaking, and inventive as the last 50 years. And with that, I'm thrilled to introduce President Ed Wingenbach. Ed joined us in the summer of 2019 after serving as acting president of Ripon College in Wisconsin. At Ripon, he was vice president and dean of faculty and a professor of politics and government beginning in 2015. Previously, he served for 15 years in administrative and faculty leadership roles at the University of Redlands in California. At the University of Redlands, Ed aligned his teaching with the Johnson Center for Integrative Studies, which practices a similar model to Hampshire's, of guiding students to direct their own learning. Both institutions belong to the Consortium for Innovative Environments and Learning, a working group promoting best practices around education reform and individualized student-driven experiential learning. Having worked alongside Ed as a trustee, I've watched him transform this critical moment at the college with an extraordinary combination of vision, optimism, pragmatism, and experience. He's enabled Hampshire to turn itself around. We're in excellent hands. Ed?
So welcome from the R.W. Kern Center here on campus, our fabulous living building. I wish that all of you could have joined us on campus for dinner and fellowship before people spoke at you, but hopefully you enjoyed your dinners at home. And thank you very much for joining us for this wonderful event. Hampshire's mission to invent the future and our courage to engage continuously in experimentation means we are the place that can begin to heal the world. Hampshire College is the place, more than any other, that will show how to respond to the challenges we face, including pandemics, global inequality, white supremacy, climate change, and a growing disregard for the value of the arts. We're the place that can challenge that. We're the place that can change that. It is these students, our students, who will go out and make the world better. Hampshire offers a unique experience that confronts and supports students in ways that cannot be found elsewhere. Hampshire is not for everyone, but for some students, Hampshire is the only place where their full potential can be cultivated. I've met many incredibly successful graduates who would only have persisted at Hampshire because only Hampshire would support their originality, their idiosyncratic passion, their creativity. We have to make it possible for every student who needs Hampshire to attend Hampshire. The world requires our graduates. That's why we are dedicated to making a Hampshire education accessible to all who seek it. Our commitment to generous financial aid does more than make us accessible. Because of our distinct model, which appeals to students from a broad range of backgrounds, it attracts a diverse range of applicants. With sufficient scholarships, that diverse pool of applicants leads to a diverse student body, which leads to a richer educational experience for all, as well as incremental movement toward a more just society. Diversity is part of a Hampshire education. We not only invite, but enable students from diverse places and experiences to come together in our unique academic program, regardless of resources. That's only possible because of the generosity of donors. But we also know that Hampshire should do better in approaching our ideals, both in working to create an anti-racist institution and in attracting students who better represent the diversity of our society. And with your help, we will continue to pursue that goal. I'm excited to introduce Mixie Bedrick, F20, a first-generation transfer student studying special education, disability advocacy, and neuroscience. Her understanding of intersectionality and interdisciplinarity is exemplary. This sort of work is what Hampshire was made for. Mixie's story shows just how important Hampshire's commitment to scholarship is, and I hope you enjoy her talk.
Hello everyone, my name is Mixie Bedrick, and I'm a non-traditional transfer student, class of 2020 fall. I'm originally from Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, and I have lived in many places, but I currently call Webster, Massachusetts home. I am the product of intergenerational poverty. I'm the first member of my family to go to college, and I'm the first to graduate. I earned my associate's degree in early childhood education at Quinsigamond Community College and was selected as a Massachusetts 29 Who Shine recipient. As an academically excellent student, I was not only a member, but was elected the Vice President of Leadership for my chapter's Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. My service, leadership, and achievements earned me a place on the 2020 PTK All-State Academic Team for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I was personally congratulated via email, totally COVID safe, by Dean Fumio Sugihara, and invited to apply to Hampshire College. I was told that the college was offering a very generous scholarship to PTK members. In fact, the most generous, a $25,000 PTK scholarship. I was floored. Hampshire College has invested in me, and it feels amazing. The gift has changed the course of my life. Thank you. I have many intersecting, marginalized identities, but mother to special needs children is at the forefront. Getting the scholarship means that I can ensure I can further my education and provide for my family. My academic studies lie at the intersection of special education, disability advocacy, and neuroscience. I plan on researching the brains of disabled people in hopes of better understanding their mechanisms and composition. I want to use that information to best improve special education. The skills I am practicing in active listening, metacognition, and project management all help to contribute to my future disability advocacy and are essential components to academic networking. Hampshire College is preparing me to succeed by using best practice teaching methods and interdisciplinary learning. I am challenged to think, make connections, ask questions, and get things wrong. I am my own teacher. I am my peers' teacher. I am my teacher's teacher. Hampshire has given me more than just a place to learn. It has given me community and empowered me. I am forever grateful.
Thank you, Mixie. I'd now like to introduce Ian Spalter, 94F. As the head of Instagram Japan, Ian leads Instagram's first product development team outside the United States. It focuses on strengthening the platform's services and functions. Ian previously served as Instagram's head of design for over 4 years, managing the team responsible for all things design, ranging from cross-platform app experience to brand and identity. Prior to Instagram, Ian was a senior UX manager at YouTube and director of UX, user experience, and design at Foursquare. Ian also spent 4 years at r/GA, where he oversaw design development projects such as the Nike Plus Fuel Band and Nike running basketball and training products. Ian was born and raised in New Rochelle, New York, and graduated from Hampshire College. His focus on empathy, culture, and the human connection behind design and tech is an incredible example of transdisciplinary thinking. He will join us today from Tokyo, where he resides with his family. Ian?
Thanks, Dana. Hello from Tokyo, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I mean, this is one of the first times that I think I've come back to Hampshire, and it's also a great opportunity for me to kind of reflect on what my Hampshire experience has meant to me and how it's impacted my life. So as Dana mentioned, I'm from New Rochelle, New York, and that is a pretty diverse suburb, racially, ethnically, and economically, and it's just above the Bronx. And I went to public school my whole life. And I'd say, I was kind of more of a B student, B plus student maybe. I sought to do well in school, but I didn't necessarily stand out on paper. I always had a creative streak, always into visual arts, design, and kind of anything to do with computers or gadgets. And when it came time to look for schools, I'd say my process was probably more haphazard than you might want a college search to be. I had a guidance counselor who pointed to me to some small private schools that were somewhat generic but safe. And then I had the larger state schools in New York to try to apply to. But then I had an aunt, or I still have an aunt, that had this funky habit of signing me up for random stuff. So in the mail, I'd get random magazines or other kind of direct mail stuff. And one of the things she signed me up for was information about Hampshire. And she put the bug in my ear that you should take a look at this place. It's a little bit different. It might be something worth looking at. And I couldn't really tell. It seemed pretty distinct what was happening, but it definitely felt foreign, and it certainly seemed unique, something worth looking at. And eventually, we got to go visit Hampshire. And I was definitely shocked when we were in the campus the first time. First, you're on this farm in a small town, very different from where I grew up. The student population was probably half the size of my high school, a lot less diverse. And to top it off, on our first visit at campus, there was a protest on campus. And this protest was because of a new policy that banned pets on campus. And a lot of people came out to this, and it was a little crazy to me because the idea of having pets at a school was pretty far out there anyway. But I think the idea that people were willing to get together and speak up about something changing in their community left a mark in a way that was positive. So ultimately, I got accepted to a few of the big schools and Hampshire, and decided to take a little bit of the path less traveled and go with the thing that was a bit more uncomfortable in joining Hampshire. I was a little nervous about it, lack of grades, relatively loose structure, but my parents were willing to take on some debt, and Hampshire was willing to give me some support financially, and so on I went. I want to talk about a couple of things that stand out to me when I think about my Hampshire experience and what I took away from it. So one of the first is this idea of community and the sense of community. And when I plugged into Hampshire, I'd see my onboarding experience was pretty good actually. So I was introduced to some other students of color on campus, and and other people that had similar interests. And I learned really quickly that finding your people there was critically important to having a sense of kind of mental stability in such a small environment. And even the first few weeks, I met a friend. Her name was Zakia, and this person would eventually become my girlfriend and is now my wife and mother of 4 kids. So that went pretty well. But during my whole time at Hampshire, I was pretty engaged with trying to connect with and support the students of color on campus. So that meant, organizing social events, poetry slams, etc., but also involved more direct action and political action, whether it be having accountability sessions with the then president of Hampshire, to being involved with sit-ins, to supporting other students of color groups at UMass. I remember doing that, and even at a national level, going down to the Million Man March. And I'd say that these experiences actually taught me almost as much as what I learned academically. And they taught me about what it meant to build a community, what it meant to build lasting relationships, and what it meant to strive to operate with integrity. And that stuff are things that I really reflect on. The older I get, the more important and grounding they are. The second piece is about embracing curiosity and exploration. And this is something we all kind of hear a lot about with Hampshire. But, when I was a kid, consumer computing was just getting started. Access was tough. I never had, a Mac myself, really, but if I was ever in a room with one, I would just kind of hover around it, and if I had a chance to be on one, I'd lose a day easily just playing with that. And I lost a little bit of that momentum in high school, but when I entered Hampshire, it was an interesting time. We had kind of this boom of what they called like multimedia design, there's CD-ROMs and things like that. But more importantly, it was the birth of the consumer internet at that time. So you had the first kind of browsers coming online. And Hampshire, through grants and other methods, had access to some of the latest computer technology. And it had a campus network that was far ahead of most universities and colleges at that point. Someone had the vision to wire up the entire campus with fiber optics and internet. In fact, my work study job was to repair those networks and phone networks. And a buddy of mine was the computer lab manager, who had access to these new computers. And he basically would give me the key and sneak me in there. And I would stay there all night long, basically. And I would experiment and learn on my own in this very self-driven way. I have some coursework that was related, but a lot of the work was just me kind of chasing my own curiosity. And ultimately, this is the work that allowed me to create my first website, build a small portfolio, and allowed me to have something to put on the resume that I then faxed to be considered for an internship, which basically started my career. So I'm really thankful to Hampshire for basically sparking back my interests that were more in my childhood in design and working in digital technology. And I have no doubt that the access that Hampshire afforded me and a bit of the push and guidance from the courses that were made available have had a profound impact on me professionally for the past 20 years. And the last piece I want to talk about is working through ambiguity. I remember Hampshire academics actually being surprisingly stressful. The idea of being at a school with no grades was still a pretty foreign concept then. I think it's probably a little bit more understandable now. And I think the stress was most acute because it's self-induced. You don't really have anyone to blame for your course of study. You made the decision, you dug that hole, and you have to dig your way out, and you dig your way out by doing the work. And you just had to work through those things. And for me, I was interested in digital media, but I was also interested in cultural studies. I was interested in social issues, and there wasn't really a clear way to kind of work through all that. So I had to actually make a way. And so that's where the great professors and advisors that we had at Hampshire at that time, and hopefully still do, that help you explore those ideas, explore that space, and form those kind of paths of inquiry that help you progress and pick the right constraints to kind of move forward. And I think this is a tremendously important muscle that I developed at Hampshire, and something that I reflect on has really given me a sort of advantage in the world. And so these three elements, I think, are really important to me in my reflection on Hampshire. Is one, that ability and to develop community and foster community and try to move with integrity. Two, embracing curiosity and learning to explore creatively. And then third, being able to embrace ambiguity and work your way through by doing the work. And I feel like these skills are tremendously valuable in life. They're tremendously valuable in business or whatever pursuits people may have. But also they're kind of exceedingly rare. And Hampshire's one of the few places that knows how to develop those aspects in people. And I believe that to meet this moment as a nation and even kind of globally as a society, we need more people operating this way. We need more people thinking creatively to solve problems, more people moving with integrity. And perhaps most importantly, we need a variety of people who are able to operate this way, which is why folks like you all who are on the call are so important, to create ways for different types of people to have access to this Hampshire education. So I actually thank you all for your contributions. And I thank my mom and dad, who I see them in the attendees list. So thanks for showing up. So that's my Hampshire story, and thank you all for listening and for all that you do.
1, 2, 3.
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times can a man look up before he can see the sky? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Thank you, Patrick and Annie, for that beautiful performance, and to everyone here tonight for inspiring us, for motivating us and for calling us all to action. Dana, Ed, Mixie, Ian, you made this night inspiring and remind us why Hampshire is such a special place. I'm Jennifer Christler, the Chief Advancement Officer here at Hampshire. It's been just over a year since I joined Ed and this remarkable community to ensure a thriving and sustainable Hampshire exists for the next 50 years and beyond. I came to Hampshire because I understand how important this place is to our students, to our faculty and staff, to our alums and friends, to the Pioneer Valley, and to higher education. Hampshire College has been and will continue to be a driving force in American higher education. It nurtures thoughtful, adaptable citizens with a righteous passion for justice and a fervent desire to leave the world a better place than they found it. And I think we can all agree that now, more than ever, the world needs that. That's why ensuring access to a Hampshire education is so critical. Just last year, we awarded $19.3 million in institutional grants and scholarships. 72% of students at Hampshire received need-based and scholarship aid. We were able to meet 95% of the demonstrated financial need overall of our student body. And that is due to the generosity of so many in our community who have made Hampshire and our students their priority. Our campaign, Change in the Making, seeks to raise $60 million to fuel the dreams and aspirations of our students. Students like Mixie, who you heard from tonight. And just last week, we announced 2 pace-setting gifts to our campaign of $5 million and $2 million to push us towards our $60 million goal. To date, because of the extraordinary generosity and commitment of all of you and so many others, we've raised $22.5 million, and we are so tremendously grateful. And I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you who've been a part of that. So I hope that you will continue to keep Hampshire high on your philanthropic list, and that if you haven't made a commitment yet to the campaign, that you will. The campaign supports financial aid to students and scholarship and provides the resources the college needs every day to provide an outstanding Hampshire experience to those who study here. I want to encourage you to visit our website at giving.hampshire.edu. And now, really, I have one last job to do, and it's really simple and straightforward, and it is to say thank you again to each and every one of you for all that you do to keep Hampshire moving forward, to fuel the dreams of our students and our community, and to ensure that Hampshire is here for another 50 years and beyond. So on behalf of everyone at Hampshire and all those who were involved in making tonight such a special evening, thank you. We are extraordinarily grateful, and have a wonderful night. Thanks.